just a matter of time. Masochists I tend to pretend to befriend you when no one else is watching. If only you could see through these mirrors that surround you. My fertile garden of lies, growing to placate you, sprouting through the cracked earth. You might realize, I know that you'll forgive me for this hell I put you through. And I have another waiting just for you. I know that you'll forgive me for this hell I put you through.
Hello everybody, I am Hoardergamer and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you're doing well. It has been an interesting day. I had plans for what the show was going to be. I was going to review Penguin #1 and Immortal Thor #1. Those were the plans. But it is crazy super hot in Wisconsin. Like, we have record weather right now. I think it's over 100 degrees currently at 8 p.m. Central here. So, yeah, pretty wild. So I was like, okay, this is like incredibly crazy super hot. I am going to do a show without reviews. I'm going to see how that's going to go. Could be terrible. I mean, it's going to be truncated. I didn't say Trump-aided. It's not going to be indicted. Yeah, let's see how it goes. We're going to have toys. We're going to talk about the near future of comic books 1 week away. Don't worry, I'll do the voice later. The voice will come later. And, yeah, we'll talk like quite a bit about video games, actually. So let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. I actually went and grabbed the mail today, right? I just stuck my head out and grabbed the mail. And I actually saw this person walking down the street, and he looks at me and goes, "Hot enough for ya?" And before I could even say anything, he burst into flames. Like, that's how hot it is. That's how intensely hot. Anyway, let us talk about video games. Let us talk about a game we do not talk about enough on this show. Not at all. We should talk about this game 24/7. We just do not talk about it enough. Diablo 4. So, we got a big surprise at Gamescom, which is in Cologne, Germany, which is right next to Perfume, Germany. And let's see here. One moment here. I took a few photos or pictures of what's happening. The Season of Blood was announced. So we're currently in Season of the Malignant, which there's a corruption in Sanctuary, and Cormand is helping us go and collect these hearts, which actually give us abilities, and fight his former friend and now nemesis, Varshan. So I really liked it. I've talked about it before. I think this season currently is solid. It's basically roughly a 4-hour story campaign. It's broken up into pieces. And then there's these tunnels called Malignant Tunnels. And you go in those and you find the hearts. You're able to go and craft a larger, more powerful heart, or actually beckon it to come, basically is what it's like, using an invoker. And a recent patch made all of that much better. So I think currently Season 1 is really good. Well, not to be outdone, except completely probably outdoing it in every way. The season 2 has been announced, Season of Blood. And so these are just some of the things that are going to be coming to the season. A number of these things are things that fans have been looking forward to, or players have been looking forward to. I don't know how many massive fans of Diablo 4 you already have at this point. You know? I mean, obviously they were Diablo fans, right? And you have, like, new people playing it. But Diablo 4 is still kind of, you know, like June 1st was the launch. So let's just say Diablo players. 5 new and returning endgame bosses. So what it sounds like is some of the bosses that we fought will now be able to be fought again, and possibly like better rewards given, I'm guessing, because they're looking at it like being an endgame thing. So that should be fun. I would also love to see more world bosses, but I don't expect those until we get expansions. And then I'll talk about what I hope for the expansion too today. In just a little bit. Okay, so then there's going to be updates to Renown rewards. This is really, really cool. So, give me 1 second. I believe it's in one of these pictures here. Okay, so your Renown is basically all these, like, points, technically, you get for doing very specific things in Sanctuary. And it's broken up to region. Okay, all 5 regions have Renown. And they give you extra potions. They give you O-balls, which is a type of currency you use to gamble and get better gear. They also give you Paragon points, which you'll use in endgame. Well, it was just announced that if you do Renown in one season, it carries over. So you're going to start with those potions unlocked. You're going to start with those obols. You're going to start with the Paragon points probably when you get to level 50. It wouldn't make sense having them until you get to 50. But, like, that's going to be awesome. The road from 50 to 100 will be quite a bit easier. Well, at least 50 to 70, we'll say. Because if you're starting with 20 Paragon points, you're basically through the first Paragon board, and you're able to choose your actual, you know, you're basically explicitly able to choose the board you want to use based on the legendary power that is on it. So that's really cool. So, and I gotta say that going through and doing all of that every season would have been, I think it would be too much. And I think already people were upset they had to re-roll characters, but it's always been like that. It's been like that with Diablo 3, it's been with that, like, Path of Exile, but you're getting a lot of people playing, an influx of players that haven't really done an ARPG before. So it's a whole different situation. Okay, now this is super awesome and important. Updates to gem and stash storage. So currently, well, okay, when you start out playing the game, gems start dropping. And I believe they're like chipped or broken or whatever. I forget what term they use. And it's not too bad. There's like 8 types of gems, I think it is. Maybe 10. So not too terrible. And you'll get some here and there. Well, later on in endgame, there's a total of up to 4 gems for each type of gem. So you'll be getting tons of gems in your inventory. And on your person, you can only hold 40 items in inventory. So you're constantly having to go back and drop these gems off, or just not even pick them up, depending on what you're focusing on currently. But now they'll actually have separate storage, the gem and stash storage. So that's really cool. That's really cool. My guess is when you pick up gems, they're immediately in the stash, and it's not one of the regular stash parts. It's like, it'll just be like, yeah, there's 1,000 of these in here. Fine. You know. That's my guess. Because that's similar to how it works in Diablo 3. Basically, and then they're in your stash. If you have to use them, you don't have to go grab them and pull them out or anything. Okay. And then also updates to resistance and status effects. So resistance and status effects, some of the classes have issue, to put it mildly, and they really have none or very little, and they get hurt terribly. and then certain enemies can't be. I guess you can't really put the hurt on certain enemies the way you can with other classes. So that's going to be important too. But if you thought that was great, and hopefully you did, hopefully I haven't just been talking about something no one cares about and you're like, when's he going to get out of the toys and the comics? There's an amazing 2-minute trailer that they showed at Gamescom for Season of Blood. And Gemma Chan is going to play a new character that's going to basically take us through a vampiric world of Sanctuary. And we're going to fight, apparently, vampires and have vampiric powers ourselves. We don't know much about it. It launches October 17th, though. So they actually also gave us the launch date of Season 2. So right now you have just under 2 months to finish Season 1. And I'm actually doing really well on that. I think it's like 7 chapters in the season journey. And I think I'm on chapter 6. So I'm doing really well there. And I'm at like, gosh, 65 or 66 on like unlocks out of 90. So yeah, I should have no problem getting through that. I stream a lot of it on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. We'll mention that later too. Okay, but yeah, I was really impressed with seeing the vampiric powers. It seems like we're gonna have new vampiric enemies to fight, and they really took a lot to heart with Season 1, so I really think they're gonna try to prove themselves with Season 2. Okay? I'm not gonna guarantee that, because I don't work there, but I do think that this is one of the best teams at Blizzard. I think the Diablo 4 team under Rod Ferguson has been really good. So, okay. So now we're done with Diablo. Let's talk about Wayfinder. Okay? I kind of love it. I think it's really good. However, the servers are extremely problematic. Like, they are a huge problem. When the game launched, and until just like, let's see, Monday, it was like an hour and a half or so to get in and play. Hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. You'd look at the queue, and the queue would be like 12,000 people, 15,000 people. So depending on the time of day and how many people are playing, the queue would change. As of today, the queue was around 2,000. And that's even as recent, when I checked, at 7 o'clock Central Time here. That was less than 10 minutes to get in. It was probably like 6 minutes. So, obviously, you would hope for, like, 10 seconds, like most other games as a service that you log into like that. But this is a huge improvement if they can keep it like this and then get it even smaller. The game doesn't really go live out of early access until roughly January or February of next year. And the way to play it right now is to have a Founders Pack, which you can have as low as $20. That's the one I did. A basic Founders Pack for $20. And I already have, I'd say, probably about 10 to 12 hours into the game. I'm playing Nis, which is kind of like a dark elf, like in AD&D, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, in case you didn't know. Basically, it's kind of like a rogue character, super fast, awesome blade weapons that are like its signature weapon. And yeah, I really like the game. Also, I unlocked a shotgun that I really like, and that's powerful. And you just have to get used to like the timing, because it has a timing mechanism for reload. So more powerful shots, similar to like Gears of War. So, but yeah, I really like the game. It looks really nice. It's a very pretty game. It really is. And there's some things that are a little rough around the edges, like you'll see like glitches here and there visually. You know, again, it's early access. Also, too, the full voiceover work for your main characters that you play will not be ready until launch of the game. So you'll get a few lines here and there from your character, but mostly it's going to just be chat that you read. So that kind of gives you the vibe of almost a mobile game. but the gameplay itself, the combat, and like the fact that each of the dungeons you go to is a completely different experience based on what kind of like augments you put on it. Like you could put shadow, flora, there's all these different augments, and that alters the experience. And it's fun to do those dungeons single player or with a group. Boss encounters, though, you're kind of forced to do a group. They're very difficult, almost raid boss type, where like you're chipping away at an enemy. So you want a group to do that. Also, the group can heal one another. If you die otherwise, I believe you start at the beginning of bosses. It's not like that with normal enemies, but like with the bosses, I believe it is. But yeah, I really do like Wayfinder. I think it's a good game. If you're interested in it, do the $20 pack. See what you think of it. And just be like, if you don't like it, you're out $20. Which isn't the end of the world with games, now being 60 to 70. And if you really love it and you want to, support them and get a larger Founders Pack, do that when you have a trust in the game and you really love playing it. There's no reason to immediately drop like 150, 100, or 80 right away on this game. Even the $50 pack, I would just say go for 20. You start with one character. You have your choice between, I think it is like 3. But Nis is great. I really like Nis a lot. They do warn you, however, with Nis that she's level 4 difficulty. And I think difficulty only goes to like 5 or 6. She's not bad. If you played any ARPG, like even like Diablo or something like that, and played a rogue class, you should have no problem with Nis. She's not super difficult. I was kind of worried about it, and I was like, oh crap, if she's too difficult, I wouldn't even be able to use her, so. Okay, now, Immortals of Avium just launched, I believe it was yesterday, and reviews have been pretty solid. Mostly I've been seeing 7s and 8s. I've seen a few outliers of like 5s, but from mostly what I've been seeing, it sounds like it's a relatively solid game. I definitely want to try it. I'm looking forward to playing it. Yeah, kind of like Doctor Strange meets almost Doom, someone said. Which, okay, that's really neat. When I first saw it, I thought it was more like Doctor Strange meets a regular, like a looter shooter. But they're really comparing it to Doom, which I thought was interesting. Although it's story and tons of cinemas and stuff too. And while Doom has a little of that, it's not much. And a lot of it is Doom guy like talking to somebody on a monitor or something. Or that person on a monitor talking to them, Not huge like cinemas with all these actors, like Gina Torres is in the game and everything like that. So, okay. And then Mortal Kombat 1 surprised us yesterday. Okay? Single player experience. Of course, you're going to get the cool story campaign. In the past, it's been roughly about 6 to 8 hours, but it's tons of cinemas and like all these different fights that you do, which are sometimes unique and weird based on the cinemas and the story that the game is telling. And Mortal Kombat and Injustice have had story modes like this, which are awesome. I think they're very cool. To me, that's one of the big selling points. Well, another one is they announced this almost like a RPG / board game where you take characters through and then you actually like unlock all these things, and including really cool Easter eggs. One of them that they showed was the blood code for the Sega Genesis from Mortal Kombat. So that was really cool. It was really neat to see that, and I like the idea of how it works. And it's not always going to be fights. It might be like these weird like challenges similar to what Injustice 1 had. Injustice 1 had these wild challenges like Catwoman had to try doing cat burglary and not get caught by lasers and all this stuff, and like Superman had to smash like these dangerous rocks that were coming, and it was unique and fun and a bit frustrating at times, but you could just continue to retry it if you screwed it up. Now, what's really wild is they said that each season is going to be like another board and like a story based around it. And I think they even talked about like the first season. I think it has to do with Scorpion, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think that's really cool. You know, Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be a super popular fighting game. I'm definitely going to pick it up. You know, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter are probably the two fighting games I really like. But I've been slacking. I have not gotten Street Fighter 6 yet. I do plan on it, but I just haven't gotten it yet. And this I was excited about, RoboCop. Now, it might just be IGN, I'm not sure. But from Gamescom, there was 16 minutes of gameplay that they showed from RoboCop. And I think it looks really good. The frame rate is a little rough, but I think they'll fix that. Now, it's got this neat, like, 2000, you know, like the year 2000 vibe of, like, a shooter. But then there's also RPG elements where you're upgrading RoboCop and things like that. Plus, there's insane, weird dialogue, very similar to the dialogue that was in RoboCop 1 and 2. Apparently, this game takes place between 1 and 2, so Nuke is on the streets. Technically, Kane is around, but RoboCop may not know who Kane is at this point, or Kane may not have taken over. Maybe that'll be towards the end of the game when Kane shows up. Who knows? But yeah, initially I thought it was between 2 and 3. Which would have meant the end of Kane and, you know, Nuke possibly still being on the streets. Because I'm sure there are still Nuke dealers. Again, that's a popular drug that was in the RoboCop series. Especially in RoboCop 2. And Tom Noonan, I believe his name is, he played Kane. A terrifying drug dealer. Chilling character. And he's a great actor. So, like, it was really cool. I would love to see him in this. I just don't see how that could work unless, like, it was cinemas or something not involving Murphy. Because Murphy, I don't think, seemed to know who Kane was until RoboCop 2. So you'd have to retcon things if he came across Kane or knew who he was before. I'd have to see RoboCop 2 again, but I honestly think that was the first time he heard and saw Kane was in RoboCop 2. So, you're basically going against a gang that is taking over, is it OCP? I forget if it's a bank or if it's OCP, I apologize. But it might be OCP. And RoboCop is actually leading a platoon of Ed 209s. So, like, at first, these Ed 209s show up. You open up a gate, and Ed 209s come into the building. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, are they with RoboCop? Because RoboCop opened that gate. And apparently he did it for them in this gameplay that they showed. And sure enough, the Ed 209s are going and, like, shooting the gang members and everything and not shooting the OCP police or RoboCop. So, yeah, it looked really cool. It's hyper violent. I think if you're a fan of the RoboCop series, you're going to like the game. I know that critics are going to be rough on it, but I think it's going to be one of those things, like just like Terminator Resistance, that it's going to be really great if you're a huge fan of Terminator. In that case, this would be great if you're a huge fan of RoboCop. So, right now, the date still looks like it's September 30th, but it's rumored to be November 9th. And I haven't heard anything of that solidly being changed yet. So let's still say September 30th, you know? Okay, everybody, we are done now talking about games. So, what's it next? What's it next? What is next? Toys. We're going to toy around, everybody. First up, we have this insane collection that is exclusive from Amazon, which is upsetting a lot of toy fans. Amazon gets these exclusives, they're hard to come by, and, like, they're there for a few minutes and then just gone. Now, this one was kind of breaking people's brains for the hardcore toy collectors because of that Batwoman figure. Okay? Look at that awesome Batwoman. Rebirth Batwoman Rebirth Batman, Rebirth Clayface. So you could say this is like a Detective Comics Rebirth collection. Retailing at $69.99 US currency or dollars, US currency on Amazon.com. But I think it looks really good. And like if you bought it all separately, the figure is going to be about $25 a piece, the two smaller ones, and then roughly $40 for Clayface. So I think that $69.99 is one of the few times I've seen what I consider to be a good price on a collection from McFarlane. Like they did the Sonar Joker, Bank Robber Joker, and Bane with the fur coat, like from Dark Knight Rises, and that was like $90, and I was like $30 a piece seems just a little bit pricey there, but yeah, I think this 3-pack is really cool. I like this. Okay, let me remove that here. Here's another picture of it, everybody. See, you get bat grapples with Batman and Batwoman. And you get a better idea of the sense of size of Clayface. He's huge. I believe he's like 12 inches. A lot of detail on him too. Like I've seen him in person. Well, okay, you know, the toy. Clayface isn't real, everybody, in case you didn't know that. No. But no, I've seen the toy in person, and it's kind of like a repackaging if you already have these figures. But hopefully you don't, because apparently that Batwoman figure is unique. So, yeah. Again, it's a your mileage might vary situation if you already have the other figures, or if you're bored to death by, you know, all the Batmen, Batwoman, and Clayface action figures you have. Next up, and I think this is our last toy actually. There weren't a ton of toys. There's one I'll explain, but I was going to show pictures, but it was like there's so many I didn't know what to show. Okay, look at this craziness. A really good Superman figure. I think that's a really nice one. Again, these are from McFarlane Toys. So a really good Superman and Atomic Skull. Okay? Like, first appearance Atomic Skull looks absolutely nothing like this. Looks a bit hokey, a little bit goofy. But like this looks frightening. Almost looks a little bit like Firestorm or something like that. Or Deathstorm, which is like the death situated version of Firestorm. And then also Superman. Also you get atomic waves, I'm guessing. I'm just going to say that's what those look like to me. Atomic waves. Now, I believe this set is going for, I think, $39.99. I think that's the price. Also, I believe this is another, Amazon exclusive. Okay, let me remove this here. Don't quote me on that. I know the other one definitely was an Amazon exclusive. It even says that in the pictures. Okay, everybody. Now, the other toy is an insane 12-inch General Tote. Now, if you've seen Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, General Tote is like the really creepy, really seedy Nazi guy. Like, they're all terrible. You know, all the Nazis are terrible, obviously. But, like, he's the one with, like, the glasses and the beady eyes and the hat. And, like, when the hat comes off, he's bald. I'm not holding that against him. I'm holding the fact that he's a Nazi. That's what I'm holding against him. And he's also the one at one point that, like, puts up his hand because the symbol's on it. It gets burned onto it. So they did a 12-inch General Tote figure. And I believe it's Mezco. And it's insanely detailed. It comes with 3 heads. It comes with, like, a regular... It comes with one, like, him screaming in pain... And then the one where he's freaking melting. It looks crazy. And there were just so many pictures, I had no idea what I was going to show. So I was looking between like 4 or 5 pictures of this one toy. I figured, you know, I'm just going to explain it. And I believe it's called the Mezco 112 series. Something similar to that. And it looks really good. General Tote from Raiders of Lost Ark. They had an Indiana Jones figure that went live probably about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. And General Toad, I believe there's a version of him too that also comes with the Ark of the Covenant that lights up and has a freaking ghost that comes out of it. Now, depending what you listen to with the movie historians and stuff, it's either ghosts that come out of the Ark or it's angels based on like the depictions of what they look like and everything. So here they said ghost. But yeah, it's like on this like see-through stand and it's floating. And then you get, you know, General Tote with a melted head. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Okay, now everybody, we're going to look at the future of comic books. The future all the way to 1 week from today. See, I said I did the voice, or I would do the voice. Here we go, everybody. Adjust your eyes for the last time this year. Night Terrors, Night's End. Now, Night Terrors is with a K, like a knight, okay? But Night's End, the actual title of this book, is with an N, as in the night is ending. And the end of the Night Terrors series. So, look at this insane cover. This looks nuts. Now, I believe it's Insomnia and Boston Brand, but it's hard for me to see. That could also possibly be the Flash on the right-hand side. I'm not exactly sure. I looked at it larger and I still had some difficulty. I don't know if it was the coloring or what, but look how vibrant that is. A number of the books in this series have these insane covers, and I think they look just so phenomenal that I had to show them off. They're very unique compared to most comic book covers. Very striking, visually striking. So, yeah. And I believe this is the end of Night Terrors. I believe this is the actual final issue where things get resolved with what's been going on. Okay, let me remove this. Next up, everybody, we have Batman Catwoman Gotham War #1. Now, this is like the intro to Batman Catwoman Gotham War. And this issue is written by Chip Zdarsky, who's currently writing Batman. And I believe has been doing a bang-up job. I think he's been doing a great job with Batman. And this is very exciting. A Gotham War involving Batman and Catwoman. That's going to be cool. And I believe they're on opposite sides technically here. I don't believe they're allies in this case. I don't know all the details yet. But I'll definitely be reading this. Decent chance I'll review it as well. Usually I like to give an idea what I'll be reviewing, and yes, there's usually 1 or 2 comic book reviews for this show. Again, it was ridiculously hot it was like 105 degrees all day today. So I was like, okay, my transportation situation, I have to put, how do I say this? A burden on somebody, and I didn't want to do that. So I was like, okay. Because I don't drive. Due to extreme anxiety, I do not drive. So I was like, you know what? I think the viewers will understand if I don't have reviews for this episode. So I would have done it digitally, but I'm still on the hook for physical books I pre-order. So I'd be buying them twice. So not a great situation. But yeah, I think this is going to be awesome. I'm very much looking forward to it. as anyone knows, I'm a huge Batman fan. So, yeah, and Chip Zdarsky has been knocking it out of the ballpark with his run on Batman. Everyone freaked out and lost their mind when Zeb Wells made the decision to kill off Miss Marvel. And trying to be, I guess you'd say, like, the cooler heads prevail or whatever. I tried to be a cooler head and be like, hey, this is a very popular character. She's going to be gone a month, maybe 2, maybe 3, not many, just a little bit. And they're going to bring her back with abilities that make sense to the MCU. That was my theory. And I'm at least very close to that, because here's Miss Marvel, the New Mutant, #1. Also, a very good chance I'll review this next week as well. So this is exciting for me, because it's Iman Vellani is actually writing this book with one of the writers of the show. And in case you didn't know this, Iman Vellani is not just a great actress and did an excellent job as Miss Marvel. She's also a huge comic book fan. Like a comic book nerd. And has been for a while. And so this is really cool. And it's kind of like one of those neat things where you can be like, oh, that's awesome that, you know, she got to write a comic book and things like that. I think this is going to be really cool. And in case you didn't know, they were able to bring back Miss Marvel because it turns out that, dun dun dun, she was a mutant. So Krakoa was able to go and use, I believe they're called the Five specific mutants with powers that will allow the rebirth of other dead mutants to come back. And that's what they did. They brought her back. And one thing is, we don't know yet what her mutant ability is. So her other ability she has, but we don't know about her mutant ones yet. So that's interesting. It's very possible we'll find out in this issue. But yeah, that was the Hellfire Gala. That was one of the parts of the Hellfire Gala that she's back. And I think this is really cool. And, I mean, there were people that were saying, like, Zeb Wells, what he did was, like, for racist reasons and stuff. And I completely disagree. I think he just... Well, two things, actually. If they were doing this right, and they were bringing back and doing the New Mutant, this was known. They might have went to Zeb Wells and been like, hey, Zeb, we need you to make this happen. This could have been planned from the point where Miss Marvel, Kamala, is working at Oscorp. You know, all the pieces there, and they're like, yeah, something has to happen to her, and then we're bringing her back in like 2-3 months. So, yeah. Again, with her popularity and everything, I totally didn't think that either that it was a racist decision or that like she was actually going to be dead. Because two things, it's comic books and very popular character, also in a movie coming out in, I believe, November. So, yeah. But yeah, Miss Marvel, the New Mutant #1. And like I said, very good chance that I'll review this next week. I think it should be really cool. I'm looking forward to the fresh perspective that Iman brings to the book. Okay, everybody. Like I said, no reviews this week. So a bit shorter of an episode. Really, though, only by a few minutes, I would say, more than the other episodes. Again, I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do, I'm also on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. And, yeah, I'm a proud member of Doom Squad Gaming. Also like to thank Doomkiller HD and Doom Squad Gaming for letting me borrow the channel here for the show. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I will see you all next week. And I hope you like this episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.